Truman Capote didn't live with his close family for about his first 10 years. He lived in a small town in rural Alabama with a group of relatives, some of them rather distant cousins. But that worked out well for him because his favorite cousin, a Miss Sue Falk, and he were the best of friends. And this story is something of a memorial to her, a Christmas memory. Imagine a morning in late November, a coming of winter morning, many years ago. Consider the kitchen of a spreading old house in a country town. A great black stove is its main feature, but there's also a big round table and a fireplace with 2 chairs on either side. Just today, the fireplace commenced its seasonal roar. A woman with short white hair is standing at the kitchen window. She's wearing tennis shoes, shapeless gray sweater over a summery calico dress. She's small and sprightly, like a bantam hen. But due to a long youthful illness, her shoulders are painfully hunched. Her face is remarkable, not unlike Lincoln's, craggy, and tinted by sun and wind. But it's delicate, too, finely boned, and her eyes are sherry-colored and timid. "Oh my," she exclaims, her breath smoking the window pane. "It's fruitcake weather." The person to whom she is speaking is myself. I am 7. She is 60-something. We are cousins, very, very distant cousins, and we have lived together, well, as long as I can remember. Other people inhabit our house, relatives, and though they have power over us and frequently make us cry, we are not, on the whole, too much aware of them. We are each other's best friend. She calls me Buddy, in memory of a boy who was formerly her best friend. The other Buddy died in the 1880s when she was still a child. She is still a child. "I knew it before I got out of bed," she says, turning away from the window with a purposeful excitement in her eyes. "The courthouse bell sounded so cold and clear. And there were no birds singing. They've gone to warmer country. Yes, indeed. Oh, Buddy, stop stuffing that biscuit and fetch our Buddy. Fetch our buggy. Help me find my hat. We've 30 cakes to bake." It's always the same. A morning arrives in November, and my friend, as though officially inaugurating the Christmas time of the year that exhilarates her imagination and fuels the blaze of her heart, announces, "It's fruitcake weather. Fetch our buggy. Help me find my hat." The hat is found, a straw cartwheel corsaged with velvet roses. It's faded. It once belonged to a more fashionable relative. Together we guide our buggy, a dilapidated baby carriage, out to the garden and to a grove of pecan trees. The buggy is mine. That is, it was bought for me when I was born. It's made of wicker, rather unraveled now, and the wheels wobble like a drunkard's legs. But it is a faithful object. Springtimes, we take it to the woods and fill it with flowers, herbs, and wild fern for our porch pots. In the summer, we pile it with picnic paraphernalia and sugarcane fishing poles and roll it down to the edge of a creek. It has its winter uses, too, as a truck for hauling firewood from the yard to the kitchen, and as a warm bed for Queenie, our tough little orange and white rat terrier, who has survived distemper and 2 rattlesnake bites. Queenie is trotting beside it now. 3 hours later, we are back in the kitchen hauling a heaping buggy load of windfall pecans. Our backs hurt from gathering them. How hard they were to find, the main crop having been shaken off the tree and sold by the orchard's owners, who are not us. Crackle! A cheery crunch, scraps of miniature thunder sound as the shells collapse, and the golden mound of sweet, oily ivory meat mounts in the milk glass bowl. Queenie begs to taste, and now and then my friend sneaks her a bite. Though we insisting we deprive ourselves. We mustn't, buddy. If we start, we won't stop. And there's scarcely enough as there is for 30 cakes. The kitchen is growing dark. Dusk turns the window into a mirror. Our reflections mingle with the rising moon as we work by the fireside in the firelight. At last, when the moon is quite high, we toss the final hull into the fire and with joined sighs watch it catch flame. The buggy is empty, the bowl is brimful. We eat our supper, cold biscuits, bacon, blackberry jam, and discuss tomorrow. Tomorrow is the kind of work I like best, buying. Cherries, citron, ginger and vanilla, canned Hawaiian pineapple, rinds and raisins with walnuts and whiskey and, oh, so much flour, butter, so many eggs, spices, flavorings. Well, we'll need a pony to pull the buggy home. But before these purchases can be made, there is the question of money. Neither of us has any, except for skinflint sums purses in the house occasionally provide. A dime is considered very big money. Sometimes we earned money for ourselves from various activities. Holding rummage sales, selling buckets of hand-picked blackberries, jars of homemade jam and apple jelly, peach preserves, rounding up flowers for funerals and weddings. Once we won 79th prize, $5, in a national football contest. Not that we know a fool thing about football, it's just that we enter any contest we hear about. At the moment, our hopes are centered on the $50,000 grand prize being offered to name a new brand of coffee. We suggested AM, and after some hesitation, for my friend thought it might be sacrilegious, the slogan, AM, Amen. To tell the truth, our only really profitable enterprise was the Fun and Freak Museum. We conducted that in a backyard woodshed 2 summers ago. The fun was a stereopticon with slide views of Washington and New York lent to us by a relative who had been to those places. She was furious when she discovered why we borrowed it. The Freak was a 3-legged bitty chicken hatched by one of our own hens. Everybody hereabouts wanted to see that bitty. We charged grown-ups a nickel, kids 2 cents, and took in a good $20. Unfortunately, the museum had to shut down due to the decease of the main attraction. But one way or another, we do each year accumulate Christmas savings, a fruitcake fund. These monies we keep hidden in an ancient beaded purse, under a loose board, under the floor, under a chamber pot, under my friend's bed. The purse is seldom removed from this safe location except to make a deposit, or, as it happens, every Saturday, a withdrawal. For on Saturday, I am allowed 10 cents to go to the picture show. My friend has never been to a picture show, nor does she intend to go. I'd rather hear you tell the story, buddy. That way I can imagine it more. Besides, a person my age shouldn't squander their eyes. When the Lord comes, let me see him clear. In addition to never having seen a movie, she has never eaten in a restaurant, traveled more than 5 miles from home, received or sent a telegram, read anything except the funny papers and the Bible, worn cosmetics, cursed, wished someone harm, told a lie on purpose, or let a hungry dog go hungry. Here are a few things she has done, and does do. Killed with a hoe the biggest rattlesnake ever seen in this county, 16 rattles. Dip snuff, secretly. Tame hummingbirds till they balance on your finger. Tell ghost stories. We both believe in ghosts. Ghost stories so tingling they chill you in July. Talk to herself. Take walks in the rain. Grow the prettiest japonicas in town. And know the recipe for every sort of old-time Indian cure, including a magical wart remover. Now, with supper finished, we retire to the room in a faraway part of the house where my friend sleeps in a scrap quilt-covered iron bed painted rose pink, her favorite color. Silently, wallowing in the pleasures of conspiracy, we take the bead purse from its secret place and spill its contents onto the scrap quilt. Dollar bills tightly rolled and green as Maybuds. Somber 50-cent pieces heavy enough to weight a dead man's eyes. Lovely dimes, the liveliest coin, the one that really jingles. Nickels and quarters worn smooth as creek pebbles, but mostly a hateful heap of bitter-colored pennies. Last summer, others in the house contracted to pay us a penny for every 25 flies we killed. Oh, the carnage of August. The flies that flew to heaven. Yet it was not work in which we took pride. And as we sit counting pennies, it's as though we were back tabulating dead flies. Neither of us has a head for figures. We count slowly, lose track, start again. According to her calculations, we have $12.73. According to mine, exactly $13. Oh, I do hope you're wrong, buddy. We can't mess around with 13. The cakes will fall, put somebody in the cemetery. Why, I wouldn't dream of getting out of bed on the 13th of the month. This is true. She always spends the 13th in bed. So, to be on the safe side, we subtract a penny, toss it out the window. Of the ingredients that go into our fruitcake, whiskey is the most expensive, as well as the hardest to obtain. State law forbids its sale, but everybody knows you can buy a bottle from Mr. Ha Ha Jones. And the next day, having completed our more prosaic shopping, we set out for Mr. Ha Ha's business. A sinful, to quote public opinion, fish fry and dancing cafe down by the river. We've been there before and on the same errand. But in previous years, our dealings have been with Ha Ha's wife, an Indian dark woman with brassy, peroxided hair and a dead-tired disposition. Actually, we've never laid eyes on her husband, though we've heard he's an Indian too, a giant with razor scars across his cheeks. They call him Ha Ha because he's so gloomy, a man who never laughs. As we approach his cafe, a large log cabin festooned inside with chains of garish naked light bulbs, and standing by the river's muddy edge under the shade of river trees where moss drifts through the branches like gray mist, our steps slow down. Even Queenie stops prancing and sticks close by us. People have been murdered in Ha Ha's cafe, cut to pieces, hit over the head. There's a case coming up in court next month. Naturally, these going-ons happened at night, when the colored lights cast crazy patterns and the Victrola wails. In the daytime, Ha Ha's is shabby and deserted. I knock at the door, Queenie barks. My friend calls, "Miss Ha Ha, ma'am, anybody to home?" Footsteps. The door opens. Our hearts overturn. Mr. Ha Ha Jones himself, and he is a giant. He does have scars, and he does not smile. No, he glowers at us through Satan-tilted eyes and demands to know, "What do you want with Ha Ha?" For a moment we are too paralyzed to tell. Presently my friend half finds her voice, a whispery voice at best. "If you please, Mr. Ha Ha, we'd like a quart of your finest whiskey." His eyes tilt more. And would you believe it? Ha Ha is smiling. No, laughing too. "Which one of you is the drinking man?" It's for making fruitcakes, Mr. Haha. Cooking. This sobers him up. He frowns. That's no way to waste good whiskey. Nevertheless, he retreats into the shattered cafe, and seconds later appears carrying a bottle of daisy-yellowed, unlabeled liquor. He demonstrates its sparkle in the sunlight and says, $2. We pay him with nickels and dimes and pennies. Suddenly, as he jangles the coin in his hand like a fistful of dice, his face softens. Tell you what, he proposes, pouring the money back into our beaded purse. Just send me one of them fruitcakes instead. Well, my friend exclaims on our way home, there's a lovely man. We'll put an extra cup of raisins in his cake. The black stove, stoked with coal and firewood, glows like a lighted pumpkin. Egg beaters whirl, spoons spin round in bowls of butter and sugar. Vanilla sweetens the air, ginger spices it. Melting, nose-tingling odors saturate the kitchen, suffuse the house, drift out to the world on puffs of chimney smoke. In 4 days, our work is done. 31 cakes, dampened with whiskey, bask on the windowsills and shelves. Who are they for? Friends. Not necessarily neighbor friends. Indeed, the larger share is intended for persons we've met, maybe once, maybe not at all. People who've struck our fancy, like President Roosevelt, like the Reverend and Mrs. J.C. Lucy, Baptist ministers to Borneo, who lectured here last winter, or the little knife grinder who comes through town twice a year, or Abner Packer, the driver of the 6 o'clock bus from Mobile, who exchanges waves with us every day as he passes in a dust cloud whoosh. Or the young Wistons, a California couple whose car one afternoon broke down outside the house and who spent a pleasant hour chatting with us on the porch. Young Mr. Whiston snapped our picture, the only one we've ever had taken. Is it because my friend is shy with everyone except strangers that these strangers and merest acquaintances seem to be our truest friends? I think yes. Also, the scrapbooks we keep of thank yous on White House stationery, time-to-time communications from California and Borneo, the knife grinder's penny postcards make us feel connected to eventful worlds beyond the kitchen. Now a new December fig branch grates against the window. The kitchen is empty. The cakes are gone. Yesterday we carted the last of them off to the post office. That's the cost of stamps turned our purse inside out. We are broke. That rather depresses me, but my friend insists on celebrating with 2 inches of whiskey left in Haha's bottle. Queenie has a spoonful in a bowl of coffee. She likes her coffee chicory flavored and strong. The rest we divide between a pair of jelly glasses. We're both quite awed at the prospect of drinking straight whiskey. The taste of it brings screwed up expressions, sour shoulders, sour shudders, but by and by we begin to sing, the 2 of us singing different songs simultaneously. I don't really know the words to mine, just come on along to the Dark Town Treasures Ball. But I can dance, and that's what I mean to be, a tap dancer in the movies. My dancing shadow rollicks on the walls, our voices rock the chinaware, we giggle as if unseen hands were tickling us. Queenie rolls on her back, her paws plow the air. Something like a grin stretches her black lips. Inside myself, I feel warm and sparkly as those crumbling logs, carefree as the wind in the chimney. My friend waltzes around the stove, the hem of her poor calico skirt pinched between her fingers as though it were a party dress. Show me the way to go home, she sings, her tennis shoes squeaking on the floor. Show me the way to go home. Enter 2 relatives, very angry. Potent with eyes that scold, tongues that scald. Listen to what they have to say, the words tumbling together in a wrathful tune. A child of 7, whiskey on his breath, are you out of your mind? Feeding a child of 7? It must be loony. Road to ruination. Remember Cousin Kate? Remember Uncle Charlie? Uncle Charlie's brother-in-law? Shame, scandal, humiliation. Kneel, pray, beg the Lord. Queenie sneaks under the stove. My friend gazes at her shoes. Her chin quivers. She lifts her skirts and blows her nose, runs to her room. Long after the town has gone to sleep and the house is silent, except for the chimings of the clocks and sputtering of faded fires, she is weeping into a pillow already as wet as a widow's handkerchief. Don't cry, I say, sitting at the bottom of her bed, shivering despite my flannel nightgown that smells of last winter's cough syrup. Don't cry, I beg, teasing her toes, tickling her feet. You're too old for that. It's because I am too old and funny. Not funny, fun. More fun than anybody. Listen, if you don't stop crying, you'll be so tired tomorrow, we can't go cut a tree. She straightens up. Queenie jumps on the bed where Queenie is not allowed. I know where we'll find a real pretty tree, buddy, and holly too, with berries big as your eyes. It's way, way off in the woods, farther than we've ever been. Papa used to bring us Christmas trees from there, carry them on his shoulder. That's 50 years ago. Well, now I can't wait for morning. Morning. Frozen rime lusters the grass. The sun, round as an orange, and orange as hot weather moons, balances on the horizon, burnishes the slivered winter woods. A wild turkey calls. A renegade hog grunts in the undergrowth. Soon, by the edge of the knee-deep, rapid-running water, we have to abandon the buggy. Queenie wades the stream first, paddles across, barking complaints at the swiftness of the current, the pneumonia-making coldness of it. We follow, holding our shoes and our equipment, a hatchet and a burlap sack. A mile more of chastising thorns, burrs, and briars to catch our clothes, rusty pine needles brilliant with gaudy fungus. Here, there, a flash, a flutter, an ecstasy of shrillings remind us that not all birds have flown south. Always the path unwinds through lemony sun pools and pitch-black vine tunnels. Another creek to cross. A disturbed armada of speckled trout frost the water around us. Frogs the size of plates practice belly flops. Beaver workmen are building a dam. On the farther shore, Queenie shakes herself and trembles. My friend shivers too, not with cold, but with enthusiasm. One of her hat's ragged roses sheds a petal as she lifts her head and hails the pine-heavy air. We're almost there. Can you smell it, buddy? She says, as though we were approaching an ocean. And indeed, it is a kind of ocean. Scented acres of holiday trees, prickly leafed holly, red berries shiny as Chinese bells. Black crows swoop upon them screaming. Having stuffed our burlap sacks with enough greenery and crimson to garland a dozen windows, we set about choosing a tree. It should be, my friend muses, twice as tall as a boy, so a boy can't steal the star. The one we pick is twice as tall as me. A brave, handsome brute that survives 30 hatchet strokes before it keels over with a creaking, rending cry. Lugging it like a kill, we commence the long trek out. Every few yards, we abandon the struggle, sit down and pant. But we have the strength of triumphant huntsmen. That and the tree's virile, icy perfume revive us, goad us on. Many compliments accompany our sunset return along the red clay road to town. But my friend is sly and non-committal when passers-by praise the treasure perched in our buggy. What a fine tree! Where did it come from? Yonder ways, she murmurs vaguely. Once a car stops and the rich mill owner's lazy wife leans out and whines, "Give you 2 bits cash for that old tree." Ordinarily, my friend is afraid of saying no, but on this occasion, she promptly shakes her head. "We wouldn't take $1. The mill owner's wife persists. $1 my foot, 50 cents, that's my last offer. Goodness, woman, you can get another one. In answer, my friend gently reflects, "I doubt it. There's never 2 of anything." Home. Queenie slumps by the fire and sleeps till tomorrow, snoring as loud as a human. A trunk in the attic contains a shoebox of ermine tales, off the opera cape of a curious lady who once rented a room in our house. Coils of frazzled tinsel gone gold with age, 1 silver star, a brief rope of dilapidated, undoubtedly dangerous candy-like light bulbs. Excellent decorations as far as they go, which is not far enough. My friend wants our tree to blaze, like a Baptist window, she says, droop with weighty snows of ornaments. But we can't afford the made-in-Japan splendors of the 5 and dime, so we do what we've always done. Sit for days at the kitchen table with scissors and crayons, stacks of colored paper. I make sketches and my friend cuts them out. Lots of cats, fish too, because fish are easy to draw. Some apples, some watermelons, a few winged angels devised from saved up sheets of Hershey bar tinfoil. We use safety pins to attach these creations to the tree. As a final touch, we sprinkle the branches with shredded cotton, picked in August for this very purpose. My friend, surveying the effect, clasped her hands together. "Now, honest, buddy, doesn't it look good enough to eat?" Queenie tries to eat an angel. After weaving and ribboning holly wreaths for all the front windows, our next project is the fashioning of family gifts. Tie-dye scarves for the ladies, for the men a home-brewed lemon and licorice and aspirin syrup to be taken at the first symptoms of a cold and after hunting. But when it comes time for making each other's gift, my friend and I separate and work secretly. I would like to buy her a pearl-handled knife, a radio, a whole pound of chocolate-covered cherries. We tasted some once. And she always swears, "I could live on them, buddy. Lord, yes, I could." And that's not taking his name in vain. Instead, I'm building her a kite. She would like to give me a bicycle. She said so on several million occasions. If only I could, buddy. It's bad enough in life having to do with something without something you want. But confound it, what gets my goat is not being able to give somebody something you want them to have. Only one of these days I will, buddy. Locate you a bike. Don't ask how. Steal it, maybe. Instead, I'm fairly certain she's building me a kite. The same as last year and the year before. The year before that, we exchanged slingshots, all of which is fine by me, for we are champion kite flyers. We study the wind like sailors, and my friend, more accomplished than I, can get a kite aloft when there isn't enough breeze to carry a cloud. Christmas Eve afternoon, we scrape together a nickel, go to the butcher's to buy Queenie's traditional gift, a good, gnawable beef bone. The bone, wrapped in funny paper, is placed high in the tree near the silver star. Queenie knows it's there. She squats at the foot of the tree, staring up in a trance of greed. When bedtime comes, she refuses to budge. Her excitement is equaled by my own. I kick the covers and turn my pillow as though it were a scorching summer's night. Somewhere a rooster crows, falsely, for the sun is still on the other side of the world. "Buddy, are you awake?" It is my friend calling from her room, which is next to mine, and an instant later she's sitting on my bed holding a candle. "Well, I can't sleep a hoot," she declares. "My mind's jumping like a jackrabbit. Buddy, do you think Mrs. Roosevelt will serve our cake at dinner?" We huddle in the bed. She squeezes my hand. "Seems like your hand used to be so much smaller. I guess I hate to see you grow up. When you're all grown up, will we still be friends?" I say, "Always. But I feel so bad, buddy. I wanted so bad to give you a bike. I tried to sell my cameo Papa gave me, buddy." She hesitates, as though embarrassed. "I made you another kite." Then I confess I made her one too, and we laugh. The candle burns too short to hold. Out it goes, exposing the starlight, the stars spinning at the window like a visible caroling that slowly, slowly, daybreak silences. Possibly we doze, but the beginnings of dawn splash us like cold water. We're up, wide-eyed and wandering while we wait for the others to waken. Quite deliberately, my friend drops a kettle on the kitchen floor. I tap dance in front of closed doors. One by one, the household emerges, looking as though they'd like to kill us both, but it's Christmas, so they can't. First, a gorgeous breakfast, just everything you can imagine, from flapjacks, fried squirrel, hominy grits, and honey in the comb. That puts everybody in a good mood, except my friend and me. Frankly, we're so impatient to get at the presents, we can hardly eat a mouthful. Well, I'm disappointed. Who wouldn't be? With socks, a Sunday school shirt, some handkerchiefs, a hand-me-down sweater, and a year's subscription to a religious magazine for children, The Little Shepherd. It makes me boil, it really does. My friend has a better haul, a sack of satsumas. That's her best present. She is proudest, however, of a white wool shawl knitted by her married sister. But she says her favorite gift is the kite I built for her. And it is very beautiful, though not as beautiful as the one she made me, which is blue, scattered with gold and green good conduct stars. Moreover, my name is painted on it, Buddy. Buddy, the wind is blowing. The wind is blowing, and nothing will do till we've run out to a pasture below the house where Queenie has scooted to bury her bone, and where a winter hence Queenie will be buried also. There, plunging through the healthy, waist-high grass, we unreel our kites, feel them twitching at the string like skyfish as they swim into the wind. Satisfied, sun-warmed, we sprawl on the grass and peel satsumas and watch our kais cavort. Soon, I forget the socks, then the hand-me-down sweater. I'm as happy as if we'd already won the $50,000 grand prize in that coffee naming contest. "My, how foolish I am," my friend cries, suddenly alert, like a woman remembering too late she has biscuits in the oven. "You know what I've always thought?" she asks in a tone of discovery, and not smiling at me, but at a point beyond. "I've always thought a body would have to be sick and dying before they saw the Lord. And I imagined that when he came, it would be like looking at that Baptist window. Pretty as colored glass, with the sun pouring through, such a shine you don't know it's getting dark. And it's been a comfort to think of that shine taking away all the spooky feeling. But I'll wager it never happens. I'll wager at the very end, a body realizes the Lord has already shown himself, that seeing things as they are, just what they've always been, was seeing him. As for me, I could leave the world with today in my eyes." This is our last Christmas together. Life separates us. Those who know best decide that I belong in a military school, and so follows a miserable succession of bugle-blowing prisons the grim, reveille-ridden summer camps. I have a new home too, but it doesn't count. Home is where my friend is, and there we never go. But there she remains, puttering around the house, alone with Queenie, and then alone. Buddy dear, she writes in her wild, hard-to-read script, yesterday Jim Macy's horse kicked Queenie bad. Be thankful she didn't feel much. I wrapped her in a fine linen sheet, rode her in the buggy down to Simpson's pasture, where she can be with all her bones. For a few Novembers, she continues to bake her fruitcakes, single-handed. Not many, but some. And of course, she always sends me the best of the bunch. Also in every letter, she encloses a dime wadded in toilet paper. See a picture show, write me the story. But gradually in her letters, she tends to confuse me with her other friend, the buddy who died in the 1880s. More and more 13ths are not the only days she stays in bed. A morning arrives in November, a leafless, birdless, coming of winter morning, when she cannot rouse herself to exclaim, "Oh my, it's fruitcake weather." And when that happens, somehow I know it. A message saying so merely confirms a piece of news some secret vein had already received, severing me from an irreplaceable part of myself, letting it loose like a kite on a broken string. That is why, walking across school campus on this particular November morning, I keep searching the sky, as if I expected to see, like hearts, two lost kites hurrying toward heaven.